Homosexuality is a brilliant population control strategy because unlike abortion, unlike genocide, unlike homicide, unlike suicide, you prevent life from being created. Don't blame the rappers and the actors for being role models for Black boys. Blame Black professional men, most of whom have ran away from the ghetto for a life with a white wife, in many cases, in a white suburb. And even the Black men who come back to the community are only coming back because white people are coming back. And so they want to be part of the gentrification system. Black professional men and Black professional women have abandoned our boys and girls. We don't talk about that enough.
I have another question. So you were just speaking about organization, and as we know, there's so many different parts of a revolution. I know you mentioned the Civil War earlier. So today, especially in our age group, men are not behaving like men and women are not behaving like women. So what do you think, like, what tips do you have for that? Or why do you think this is an issue?
Are you speaking particularly of the sexual confusion? Or no?
I mean, whatever you want to give us. There's so many reasons.
Well, America is in the midst of a genocide campaign against African people. The sexual confusion is in the service of that genocide campaign. This whole LGBTQ movement is nothing but a weapon of genocide. Everybody knows that a gay Black man has a 50% chance of contracting AIDS. And although AIDS victims are living longer, they're still dying younger than everybody else. So homosexuality for the average Black man is a death sentence. And that's a conversation that Black America is not having. Atlanta, Georgia has an AIDS epidemic amongst its gay Black males that rivals the AIDS rate in many second and third world nations. We're not looking at the medical ramifications of that lifestyle. We're not looking at it, particularly for Black males, you see, because you only need one Black male to impregnate dozens of Black women. That's how slavery operated. When America outlawed the importation of Africans in 1808, it went to a slave breeding farm system. They would breed us. They only needed one buck, and it was his job to impregnate all of the women. This is what America did. You understand? So killing Black men is critical towards killing the Black family. It's critical you can get a Black woman, but if you can get rid of that man, she has nobody to impregnate her, you see? And so that's why killing the Black man, who is the defense of the community, has always been a priority of this government. And killing his identity as a man can be more effective than killing his body, because by killing his identity as a man, you now can use him as an influencer amongst other young Black men to do the same thing. Homosexuality is a brilliant population control strategy because unlike abortion, unlike genocide, unlike homicide, unlike suicide, you prevent life from being created. See, with abortion, you take a life, but conception has already happened. She might choose not to get rid of it. You can shoot somebody, but they're not guaranteed to die. But if you can convince little Black girls not to reproduce with little Black boys, if you can produce little Black girls not to produce with little Black boys, that's a recipe for genocide. And once the death rate exceeds the birth rate, you can mathematically predict the extinction of any people. That's what they're working on right now. Thank God for the brothers and sisters who still having babies, because had it not been for them, who knows where we would be. Although there's 50 million Africans in America, which is a lot more than 4 million at the end of slavery, our percentage of America has steadily declined. During slavery, we were 50% of South Carolina. We were 50% of Mississippi. We were a big portion of the population. Ever since then, they've been reducing our numbers with our participation.
That puts things in perspective in a different way, which I think was very helpful. So thanks.
So I have a question, short question following that. So you mentioned like sort of the taking the man out of the picture, which is one of the strategies that a lot of people speak about when they talk about the issues between the Black community and Black men and Black women in general, and the union between the two. So could you just give a brief sort of your understanding of what the roles are from a man and from a female?
Well, I believe that for every home, it is for that man and that woman to decide how they want to operate. I don't think the woman is limited to stereotypical female responsibilities, just like I don't think a man is limited to stereotypical masculine responsibilities. But there's some things that absolutely have to be done by the women, such as carrying the child, feeding the child. You understand? And there's some things that absolutely have to be done by the man, such as defending your family. You understand? So some roles can't be reversed. But outside of those roles that can't be reversed, I think it's up to that man and that woman. Maybe the man wants to be the cook. Maybe the woman wants to, handle the finances. So I think there's room for that. I think what is most important is that we can coordinate and collaborate as men and women towards building successful Black families. The reason why the Black family is in such dysfunction is because Black consciousness is in such dysfunction. And it is amazing that Black people are separating the Black family from the dysfunctionality of the Black community. The Black community is the superstructure. It is the superstructure. The superstructure is dysfunctional. So if the superstructure of the Black community is dysfunctional, why are we expecting the family, which is the microcosm, to be? If the macrocosm is crazy, why are we expecting the microcosm to not be crazy? We have to address the community as a whole, which, if you notice, is never done. How many times have you been to a meeting to deal with community organization? Not electing white people to public office, not begging white people for grants, not simply talking about violence in the neighborhood, but addressing the entire community systemically, layer by layer. The education, the employment, the families, the politics. I've never been to a meeting like that in my life. And the reason why we don't have those meetings in the Black community is most Black people are not trying to build the Black community. They're trying to escape the Black community, which is why when people blame the rappers and the actors for being the role models, I say time out. Don't blame the rappers and the actors for being role models for Black boys. Blame Black professional men, most of whom have ran away from the ghetto for a life with a white wife, in many cases, in a white suburb. And even the Black men who come back to the community are only coming back because white people are coming back. And so they want to be part of the gentrification system. Black professional men and Black professional women have abandoned our boys and girls. We don't talk about that enough.
With that being said, we are sort of reaching our ending time, and this conversation has been brought to a lot of different places. So I appreciate your ability to, state all of your points and give us all of this information in such a condensed period of time. So to end off, is there anything that you want to say to the young community, the young Black community, people who are sort of getting into figuring themselves out and deciding what it is they want to do for this world? What would you say to them?
3 things. The first one, spend as much time as you need to deciding how you're going to make your contribution to the Black community, i.e. the global African liberation struggle. Spend as much time as you need deciding, but once you decide, give your whole heart and soul to it. My biggest observation amongst the young people, and by young, I mean those under 25, I don't see them dedicating themselves to Black excellence the way our ancestors did. I'm seeing a lot of them settle for mediocrity. And we come from a legacy, not just in America, but going back to Africa, of achieving despite the odds. And so one of the things that I want to tell our young people that they need to do is to rededicate themselves every morning of their lives to Black excellence. And the last thing that I would tell them is be proud of who you are. Stop trying to blend in with other people. Stop trying to be accepted by other people. God made you Black on purpose, and he made you African for a reason. And it is not African people that are unworthy of you. It is you who is unworthy of being an African if you do not use your God-given African intelligence to help your people get from point A to point B. It's Pan-Africanism or perish. It is Garveyism or get back. It is unify or die. We rise all together as one family, or we don't rise at all.
Wow.